Nebraska businesses providing a kind of therapy helping kids with autism are feeling the strain months after changes from the state. Back in August, the state decided to cut Medicaid reimbursement rates for ABA therapy by as much as 80%. That's because the services were costing the state a lot of money. First Alert 6's Zena Taher explains, although the changes happened months ago, it's starting to really make a significant impact now. Zena.
Yeah, Aaron, I've been checking in with providers since I worked on this story about a few months ago on this same topic. Heartland ABA tells me they've really started feeling the effects of these lower reimbursement rates just in the past few weeks. They've closed their Omaha office. The company also lost 38 of 148 families they serve because of a lack of staff, and staff has left because they couldn't accept pay cuts. On top of that, 2 clinics reached out to hand off clients because their locations were closing. All those changes have parents worried.
What?
A house with boys always has chaos.
Anthony, hold on, let me help him. Okay.
Janine Amaro doesn't stay seated for long.
Anthony.
Both of her sons are on the spectrum. Anthony, level 3, is nonverbal right now. He has a hard time regulating his emotions and can be prone to meltdowns when something changes in his routine. Janine says ABA therapy has helped him learn to communicate and emotionally regulate.
This Anthony is light years ahead of where we were a couple years ago. He would not be doing this. He definitely wouldn't be doing this. He was very much, would not come near people, wouldn't talk to people, wouldn't engage with people.
She relies on Medicaid for Anthony's treatment, and 80% of the clients at Heartland Behavioral Services also rely on Medicaid. Months after the state lowered Medicaid reimbursement rates, Heartland's model is becoming less sustainable.
It's really hard to predict. I don't want to say that we would close doors or stop serving Medicaid families because that would just break our hearts, but we have to keep examining everything on a month-to-month basis.
Waiting lists for ABA can already stretch weeks. Janine says even small gaps in services have led to major regression for Anthony in the past.
So you need the ABA services. You need how they can analyze the behaviors, change the behaviors, reward the behaviors in a different way. And it is scientific, it is evidence-based, and it is the only treatment they will approve.
Janine says consistency and accessibility are key, so access has to be made easier. So Janine says she does want to see regulations on ABA, but she's worried service providers have overblown hours in the past to get the state more funding, basically giving kids more services than they need. But she says she wants to see autistic kids all have access to ABA, just at the number of hours that suit their specific needs. Meantime, Heartland wants to see reimbursement rates go up again and get gradually weighed down instead of suddenly being cut off like they were a few months ago. In the studio, Zena Taher, First Alert 6.
Yeah, certainly a delicate dance here. All right, Zena.